The cause of all causes. This chapter is entitled The Cause of All Causes. So we'll read some verses and then see if you want to say anything. Yadeti asangata bhava. Yadeti
Yesterday
sangata
scream.
bhava. You don't, yeah. Yes. यदेति संगता भाव भूतेन्द्रिय मनोगुणः भूतेन्द्रिय मनोगुणः यदा यतन्न निर्माणे न शेकुर्ब्रह्मवित्तमा. O Narada, Brahma is speaking to Narada, best of the transcendentalists, the formation of the body cannot take place as long as these created parts, namely the elements, senses, mind, and modes of nature, are not assembled. It's like you cannot manufacture a car until you have all the different engine and everything, different parts. So a body comprises of all these different elements, the senses, the mind, and the modes of nature. The different types of bodily construction of the living entities are exactly like different types of motor cars manufactured by assembling the allied motor parts. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, our body is like a yantra. Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddhishva arjuna tishtati. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudani mayaya. It is like a machine. Our body is like a machine, and we are the driver, the soul, who is situated as driving this car. When the car is ready, the driver sits in the car and moves it as he desires. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, 1861. That's the verse we quoted. The living entity is as if seated on a machine of the body, and the car of the body is moving by the control of material nature. So car will not move if the driver is not there. So the soul departs from the body, then the body doesn't move. And you can buy a car based on your what? Based on what?
Money that you have based on your karma.
Correct. So based on the money that you have, you can buy like a low-end car, you can buy a high-end luxury car. So depending on your karma, you can get different types of bodies. So it's like karma is like money. So this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The living entity is as if seated on the machine of the body, and the car of the body is moving by the control of material nature. And every car ultimately goes to junkyard. Right? I mean, you cannot keep using it. Similarly, every body, which is like a car, goes to the crematorium. Ultimately, so it breaks down at some point. Just like every car breaks down, our body, like sometimes they put steel rods and everything, right? Knee replacement surgery. My father has knee replacement surgery. So when we go through the security, they ask, oh, does he have knee? Because that will beep if he has something inside. So they want to know beforehand if they have knee replacement. So you fix the body, just like sometimes they put screws and things like that. It's just like a machine. So Krishna has made that comparison. Just as the railway trains are moving under the direction of the controller, the car of the body is moving by control of material nature. The living entities, however, are not the bodies. This is the first thing to realize in spiritual life, that you are not this body. And all the designation we have are related to the body. I'm Indian, I'm American. Because my body was born in a land which we call as India. So I myself identify myself as an Indian. Or I have certain body parts. So I identify myself as female. Because I am seated in a car which is manufactured in certain way. So I identify myself as female, or I identify myself as a male. So this is the first understanding of spiritual life, that I am not male, neither I am female. but I am not Indian nor American. So the living entities, however, are not the bodies. They are separate from the bodily cars. So driver is always, but driver may identify with the car because he is very attached to the car. So he may think, oh, you hit me. We say like that, you hit me. But actually hit your car. If you're in your car and somebody hits you, you say, you hit me. But he didn't hit you, he hit your car. But of course we say like that in our ordinary language, right? So, but we are separate from the bodies. That's the, like we say, as long as the car is in the dealer shop, right? You didn't buy the car. Somebody dented the car. You don't feel so much. But when you buy the car and you bring it home, it's now your car. You identify. It's the same car, but now you have that the sense of proprietorship, and so now you feel, yeah, sad when somebody, especially if it's a new car, and somebody hit your car. Then you feel. But the same car, when it was not bought by you, then it was no longer. So it's like the feeling of that possessiveness. That's my car now. Similarly, we have this feeling of possessiveness. It's my body, and so everything that is happening to the body, I'm thinking it's happening to me. But the soul is not getting old. The soul is not getting diseased. The body is getting older. The body is getting diseased. The body is dying. The soul is not dying. The living entities, however, are not the bodies. They are separate from the bodily cars. So if we understand this very deeply, that I am not this body, then so many anxieties will go away. But the less intelligent material scientists cannot understand the process of assembling the parts of the body, namely the senses, mind, and qualities of material modes. Every living entity, because for material scientists who don't accept God, for everything is matter. It's just, if everything is matter, then nothing matters, because it's all matter ultimately. It's matter in one configuration or matter in another configuration. Krishna uses this argument when he tells Arjun that even if you believe that there is no soul, then there is no need to lament, because it is just matter. It's a configuration of matter in a certain way, and then when we die, it's a configuration of matter in some other way. So it's all matter, then nothing matters really. But we are not matter, right? So it matters. But the less intelligent material scientists cannot understand the process of assembling the parts of the body, namely the senses, the mind, and qualities of material modes. We also have that. I was hearing one class yesterday by Keshav Maharaj. I was talking about the Pascal's wager, right? Pascal's wager, which says that if you, think that whether to believe in God or not, whether to believe in the soul or not, then he said, Pascal said, well, if you don't believe, and if it is true, then it is a problem. If you believe there is no God, and if there is God, then there is a problem. But if you believe there is God and there is no God, then there is no problem, because ultimately it's all temporary. So he was quoting this from Niti Shastra by Chanakya Pandit. A person who gives up the eternal for the temporary ultimately loses both, because temporary anyway he was going to lose, and eternal. And a person who gives up the temporary for the eternal loses nothing, because temporary anyway was going to be lost. And so, and if eternal is true, if all the scriptures, what they are saying is true, there is a spiritual world, and we'll miss out on going back to the spiritual world. And if we don't accept God, we'll miss out on all this. So, but of course, the other side, they say, well, to become religious, you have to give up so many things. You have to be like, so you are actually, and if there is no God, then you are, you are not enjoying your life to the fullest. And, because there are so many rituals you have to follow and religious things, so you're missing out. So, so they say like that. But Pascal said, if you want to consider whether there is God or not, there is no God, then at least accept there is God, because you'll not be losing even if there is no God. But if there is no God and you say, yeah, if there is God and you say there is no God, then you are losing out. So every living entity is a spiritual spark, part and parcel of the Supreme Being. And by the kindness of the Lord, for the Father is kind to his sons, the individual beings are given a little freedom to act according to their will, to lord it over the material nature. So we have minute free will. But Krishna is very kind. His father is very kind to his sons. Just as a father gives some playthings to the crying child to satisfy him. Yeah, they give phone nowadays, phone or video game, so that he will not cry. The whole material creation is made possible by the will of the Lord, to allow the bewildered living entities to lord it over things as they desire, although under the control of the agent of the Lord. It's Durga Devi. So we were crying, and Krishna said, okay, you play here. In this material world, you play. So we are playing now. The living entities are exactly like small children, playing in the material field under the control of maid servant of the Lord, nature. So Durga Devi, all the big departments are held by female. Like Lakshmi Devi is in charge of wealth, Saraswati is in charge of education, Durga Devi is in charge of this material nature. I mean, of course, she is under the Supreme Lord, but she's controlling this. Durga, Dur means very difficult, and Ga means Gamanam, to go. Very difficult to go out of this material world, because everybody is in illusion here. So the living entities are exactly like small children, playing in the material field under the control of the maid servant of the Lord. So we play so many games and like that. They accept Maya, or the maid servant, as all in all, and thus wrongly conceive the supreme truth to be feminine. The foolish childlike materialist cannot reach beyond the conception of the maid servant, material nature. But the intelligent grown-up sons of the Lord know well that all the acts of material nature are controlled by the Lord, just as a maid servant is under the control of the master, the father of the undeveloped children. So in the Brahma Samhita it is described, Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chai Vayasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga Ichhanu Rupam Piyasya Cheshtate Sa Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Durga Devi is acting under the Ichha of the Supreme Lord. The parts of the bodies, and of course we say, Prabhupada says, this supremely great Krishna is controlled by Srimati Radharani. So he gave a lecture on Radhashtami where he was glorifying Krishna, and devotees were thinking, is this Radhashtami or is it Janmashtami? And then he said, this Krishna who is so great is controlled by Srimati Radharani, who is the Ladini Shakti. So the feminine counterpart of the Supreme Lord. So the parts of the body, such as the senses, are the creation of the Mahatattva. And when they are assembled by the will of the Lord, the material body comes into existence. And the living entity is allowed to use it for further activities. This is explained as follows. So car has to be assembled. If we buy like whichever car, Mercedes or Toyota, it has to be assembled first, and then we go inside the car. So okay. So any comments on this verse? We'll read 3-4 verses. Yeah.
They also say that this child, if the child is very naughty, it's put under the control of nanny, who's hard. But otherwise, mother can take care of the child. So mother is Srimati Radharani. we behave well in Mahatma Stupa Mam Partha Devim Prakritim Ashrita, we are under the shelter of Srimati Radharani. But if we are deviants, we are naughty, then nanny has to come. Then she's harsh. That's Durga Devi to control us. And, and there are threefold miseries like that, where there are three tridents she controls.
She pierces with a trident, which has three, like, what do you call that? Prongs or whatever. Three sharp things, which is Adhyatmic miseries due to our own body and mind. Then Adi Devic miseries due to demigods like snowfall, hurricane, earthquakes, and Adi Bhautik by other living entities. Okay, so she pierces us so that what do we
We
do?
run towards Krishna.
We run towards Krishna. So the miseries are there so that we can take shelter of Krishna. She's helping us actually. Go towards
Mm.
Krishna. We are not going, so she's helping us in that way to go towards Krishna. But sometimes we will revolt and we'll say, "Why are you piercing me?" And we'll try to fight. Then the trident gets pierced more.
Mhm. But we also say that she has a thankless task of keeping the living entities in the material world because it's Maya, illusion where people are still attached to. Although the prison doors are open, nobody wants to leave the prison because they feel it's so much enjoying here.
Correct. Yeah, it's an illusion. So although there is difficulty, there is some pleasure also, right? Some pleasure comes, so we feel it's not so bad after all, right? There's some pleasure, there's some misery, some pleasure. It's like a mixed bag. So we become like sometimes we get success in dealing with our problems. Sometimes we don't get success. Sometimes we get success. So when we get success, when we think, yeah, I had this problem, I had this disease, but my disease went away. Now I'm good. So that's how we the hope remains. Like it's like the deer going into the desert and thinking that there is water. So there is some hope is given in this material world that there is some enjoyment will come in the future. You know, some enjoyment will come in the future. So, but it may not be turn. It may not turn out exactly as we thought. Trust no future, however pleasant. They say. So yeah. So that is how it is. So
And and I was thinking,
go ahead.
I was thinking that in these words we're talking, I mean, mostly talking about that we are not the bodies and how the bodies are assembled with different stuff. So I mean, when we regard yourself, I mean, this is a kind of a thing we need to contemplate on every day. And if you regard yourself as a dead already, so you have nothing to lose. Like we said, the example, like he who sleeps on the floor will not fall out of the bed, right? So in the same way, if we in the same way when the person regard himself as dead, so virtually you are nothing to lose because after 100 years, we are the body is like just a handful of dust, and that is real. That will real. So it's better to just act now. And I believe when we act in such a way, we feel like a kind of a surprisingly thing. Maybe you can surprise oneself that you can be more. Say that you are nothing, and when you think like that you are nothing, actually you have a lot of something, amount of something in you, right?
Yeah. The more you feel yourself as humble, the more you will become elevated in the eyes of God. Right? So the more you, yeah, so humble and meek will inherit the kingdom of God. Even in Bible it says like that. Humble and meek will inherit the kingdom of God. So yeah, the more you think you are the servant of the servant of the servant of the devotees, the more you are elevated in Krishna's eyes. That's why Krishna says in the Adi Puran, those who claim that they are my devotees, they are not my devotees. But those who are devotees of my devotees, they are my devotees. So, so yeah, it's like if you don't have anything, then what is there to lose? If you have no material desires, then nothing can trouble you. Basically, that's what it is. If you have material desires, then all this trouble and anxiety will come. But if you have no material desires, then there will be no trouble, no anxiety. So that is what it is. You have nothing to lose because you don't have any such material attachments and things like that. That is Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kangshati. So it's a very elevated stage where you don't think anything is yours. Then everything belongs to the Lord, and He has given to me, and He will take it away at a certain point. So you are like detached. So, like that joke is there, right? One man came to an astrologer and said, I have Shani Dasha.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what did they say? I have Shani Dasha. The astrologer said, you have to do. Huh?
Give me 1,000 rupees. I'll do some mantra tantra and all will be gone. He says, I don't have 1,000 rupees. Okay, give me 500 rupees. I can do a small yagya and I don't have 500 rupees. Okay, give me 100 rupees. No, I don't have 100 rupees. Give me 5 rupees. I don't have 5 rupees. So then you go. Not, Shani cannot do anything. You don't have anything.
Yeah, so those who are akinchana. I mean, we have so many things, but in our consciousness, if you are akinchana, that then nobody can do anything, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're materially exhausted, then yeah.
It's like Avanti Brahmana saying all distress is caused by my mind. Because mind thinks that this was mine and it was taken away. And this person did this thing to me or whatever. But if the mind is Krishna conscious, it knows that nothing is mine, nobody is mine. I'm passing through. Let me just surrender to Krishna. That's the goal of life. It doesn't matter what others do to me. And it's in peace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and sorry for the earlier disturbance. Actually, I was also saying something. I was saying that we talk about that the miseries, right? We see that something there's a mixed happiness and distress in this world. And yesterday, Mataji was mentioning an example that not example, she was saying that showing the man is hanging on the tree, right? And he was not even thinking that all he was surrounded by the big small, all the miseries there, but he was just focusing on the a drop of honey. So, so we say that in this world there's we don't say that there's no happiness, but this happiness is very low quality of happiness. And in one of the lecture, Kesu Swami was mentioning that there are four things happening with this material happiness. Either you want, you won't get it, so it leads to the frustration. If you want and you get it, but you don't, after some time, you don't feel that happiness because in this world, it's we get something and become bored, right? So it leads frustration. And I forgot the fourth one, but the third one, I think you were saying that you get it, it will remain for some time, but with temporary, it will go because everything is temporary in the world. And and
And
fourth
if you
one,
ask for it and you don't get it, then you are frustrated.
yeah,
Because you can
first,
desire so many things and not necessarily you'll get everything, so you'll be frustrated.
yeah, that's the first thing he said it. And the fourth one, I think he said like um You
It didn't
get
turn
it,
out.
it will,
It can
yeah.
be opposite to what you want.
Yeah, it didn't turn
Yes,
out the way you wanted.
yes, I think that's the way. So yeah, I mean, ultimately it leads to frustration. And everything, nobody can say that you get you if your desires fulfilled, so you don't have any desire after that. I mean, desires is always coming. But the like say that when the pure devotees who got the love of Godhead, who got Krishna, and after that there is no desire. So only Krishna, Lord, has fulfilled all the desires, and after that no desires will remain. Otherwise, we we're getting the bodies because of our desires, right? We want to enjoy something, and then we get wandering in this world.
Yes. Okay, so we will continue with the next verse. Tada sanhatya chanyonyam bhagavad shakti choditaha sad asatvam upadaya chobhayam sasrujurhiyada. Thus, when all this become assembled by the force of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this universe certainly came into being by accepting both the primary and secondary causes of creation. Because the universe came about when all the ingredients were assembled and all the bodies were created. And in this verse, it is clearly mentioned that the Supreme Personality of God exerts his different energies in the creation. It is not that he himself is transformed into material creations. So we have that verse Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So many different complete wholes are coming out from the Supreme Lord, but He remains the complete balance. It's not like He diminishes in any way or He gets transformed. So He expands Himself by His different energies. So 1 minus 1 is equal to 1 in the spiritual mathematics. So Krishna has so many, 1 minus 1 is 0 here. So, like they say, if you have a piece of paper and you tear it apart into many different small pieces, then the original piece of paper is gone, and you have only what you have is only pieces now. So it's not like that. That Krishna has manifested so many universes, so he himself is now transformed and gone. He expands himself by his different energies, as well as by his plenary portions. In a corner of the spiritual sky's Brahmajyoti, a spiritual cloud sometimes appears, and the covered portion is called the Mahat Tattva. So imagine big vast spiritual sky. In one corner of that sky, there is the like you have a big city. In one corner of the city, there is the prison where you have all the criminals who put in the jail. So similarly in the spiritual sky, there are so many planets, and in one corner of the spiritual sky, which is we say is 1/4 of the whole thing, that is the material. And in a corner of the spiritual sky is Brahmajyoti, a spiritual cloud sometimes appears, and the covered portion is called Mahatattva. The Lord then, by his plenary portion as Maha Visnu, lies down within the water of the Mahatattva. And the water is called the causal ocean, Karanajal. While Mahavishnu sleeps within the causal ocean, innumerable universes are generated along with his breathing. So Krishna can create even when he is sleeping. When we sleep, we may snore and disturb others, but we don't create anything. But Krishna in his Yoga Nidra, Mahavishnu, is creating so many universes. For us to create, it requires great endeavor. And Krishna is effortlessly breathing out all these universes. Like they are like in the form of bubbles in the ocean, and they're floating. So each bubble is a universe. These universes are floating and they are scattered all over the causal ocean. How that tallies with our modern understanding, we have to see. They stay only during the breathing period. So we are in the universe, one universe, and in that bubble, half of the bubble is water, which is perspiration of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and the other half is air. So we are in the air portion, maybe. The planets are situated in different, and somewhere there is the ocean. But while the Mahavishnu sleeps within the causal ocean, innumerable universes are generated along with his breathing. We should see some lectures on Bhagavad cosmology, which will explain all this. There is a whole series of lectures on how Bhagavad cosmology is, for those who are interested. So while Mahavishnu sleeps within the causal ocean, innumerable universes are generated along with his breathing. These universes are floating and they are scattered all over the causal ocean. They stay only during the breathing period of Mahavishnu. In each and every universal globe, the same Mahavishnu enters again as Garbhodakshai Vishnu and lies there on the serpent-like Sesha incarnation. From his navel sprouts a lotus stem, and on the lotus Brahma, the Lord of universe, is born. Within the universe, Brahma creates all forms of living beings of different shapes in terms of different desires. He also creates the sun god, the moon god, and other demigods. Therefore, the chief engineer of the material creation is the Lord himself, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Maya Dakshena Prakriti. He is under his supervision, everything is happening. He is the chief engineer. It is he only who directs the material nature to produce all sorts of moving and non-moving creations. There are two modes of material creation: the creation of the collective universes, as stated above, done by Mahavishnu, and the creation of single universe. So collective universes is done by Mahavishnu and the single universe is done by Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Both are done by the Lord, and thus the universal shape, as we can see, takes place. Okay, I think we will go till 35. Any comments on this verse? 230 to 35, okay. 34. Varsha Puga Sahasrante Tadandam Mudake Shayam Kala Karma Swabhavosto Jivo Jivam Ajivayat. Thus all the universes remain thousands of eons within the water, the causal ocean, and the Lord of the living being entering into each of them caused them to become fully animated. So he is animating, just like matter is animated when the soul is there. In the body, as soon as the soul leaves, the matter becomes inert, dull, without any sensation, feeling. But it's like a wire, you can say. As a wire, until the current flows in it, it's called a dead wire. Then it becomes a live wire. So the soul's consciousness is pervading the entire body, and that's why we are thinking, we have emotions, we feel, and everything. And as soon as the soul leaves the body, although everything, all the body organs are there, but there is no feeling, no emotion, nothing. So in the universe also, which is matter, it is animated and the planets are moving and everything by the presence of Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu for each individual universe, and Mahavishnu for the collective universe. And that's why all the planets are moving, and it seems like there is life, right? In the body also, when the soul is there, it's like, and of course the soul is part of the super soul. So Shirodakshai Vishnu as Paramatma is present in the heart, and when Paramatma leaves, the soul also leaves with the Paramatma, because the soul is part and parcel of Paramatma, and then it becomes dull matter. So this universe is also, there is a super soul in the universe. Collective universe's super soul is Mahavishnu, and for each individual soul, the super soul is Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And then in the universe, there are many living entities, and for each of them, the super soul is Shirodakshai Vishnu. So, like that, there are different expansions of Vishnu. And the Lord is described here as the Jiva because he's the leader of all other Jivas. Which verse says he's the leader of all the other Jivas? There are many Jivas and he's the leader of all the Jivas.
Nitya Nityan.
Chetna. Yeah.
Eko bahunamyo vidadatika.
It is described in Katha Upanishad that there are many eternals, there are many living entities. We are all living entities. But there is amongst us all living entities, there is one supreme living entity who is providing the needs of all the others. So, just like in a family, traditionally, the father is the breadwinner, right? There are so many members in the family, children, and like that. But then he is the breadwinner. So, he's putting food on he's fulfilling the desires. Children have so many desires. They want that. Of course, now father or mother both are working, and so they are providing for the needs. So, in this universe also, we all have our desires, and who is fulfilling those desires? Krishna is fulfilling those desires of the Jiva. He is providing an arrangement to fulfill the desires. He's given us a body and all these different things. So, like if I want to buy a car, but if there is no metal, if there is no silicon, right? There's no chips. There's transistors. There are many transistors and microelectronics in a car. And where is all this coming from? The raw ingredients are not coming. Who has supplied all the raw ingredients for the metal? And if there was no metal, no nothing, then there would be no car. We can't manufacture. Even if we have desire, we can't manufacture a car if there are no raw ingredients. And who supplied the raw ingredients? Well, we say they are already there in nature, but yeah, they are there because Krishna has put them here. So all the metals, they are extracted from their ore. Metallurgy is a whole field of extracting metal from their ore. But the ore has the metal and you extract the metal from the ore. But that is there in the nature and that is Krishna's nature. So Krishna has provided all the things for the food, the sun and everything. We take it for granted that the sun is there automatically. But somebody made the arrangement. The water is there, sun is there, without which we couldn't survive. So Krishna has provided although we are in prison, like in the prisoner also, in the jail, the prisoners are provided food by the government only. So although we have turned away from Krishna and come to this material world, Krishna is so kind that he's still facilitating our existence and fulfilling our desires to enjoy in this world. But here there is also some trouble, as everybody can experience. In the Vedas, he is described as Nitya, the leader of all other Nityas. The Lord's relation with the living entities is like that of the father with the sons. The sons and father are qualitatively equal, but the father is never the son, nor is the son ever the father who begets. So as described above, the Lord is Garbhodaksha Vishnu or Hiranyagarbha super soul, enters into each and every universe and causes it to become animated by begetting the living entities within the womb of material nature, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Garbha means the womb, right? So from his womb everything is coming. The lotus stem and Brahma and everybody is coming from his. So as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14.3. So we have father, our father as a father, his father as a father, and we have mother and mother, like that. If you go back, we come to Brahma, who is the first being in the universe, and then Brahma is coming from Vishnu. And of course, all the jivas, Krishna says, Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All jivas belong to me. I am the seed giving father. Aham Bija Pradapita. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, I am the seed giving father. So matter has come from Krishna and the soul has also come from Krishna. Both matter and soul are coming from Krishna. After each annihilation of the material creation, all the living entities are merged within the body of the Lord, and after creation, they are again impregnated within the material energy. In material existence, therefore, the material energy is seemingly mother of living entities, and the Lord is the Father. Like mother gives the body, and the Father gives the seed. When, however, the animation takes place, the living entity revives their own natural activities under the spell of time and energy, and thus the varieties of living beings are manifested. So a pig mother will give in her body, a pig is being constructed. Pig child will come out from a pig mother, and the jiva is then occupying that particular, or whether it be reptiles, they give birth, mammals they give birth to their young ones. Reptiles give birth by laying eggs, snakes, and they lay eggs. So, but the soul enters that particular body. There are four ways, right, in which the living entities procreate: through what is called through perspiration, through eggs, as mammals giving birth to their young ones. Like that. And there's one more, like trees give birth through seeds. Okay. So this is the last verse. स एव पुरुषस्तस्मात् अंडम निर्भिद्य निर्गतः सहस्रोश्रव आंग्री बहावक्षः सहस्रानन शीर्षवान. The Lord Maha Vishnu, although lying in the causal ocean, came out of it, and dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, he entered into each universe and assumed the Virat root with thousands of legs, arms, mouth, heads, etc. So he entered into each universe as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. That's what. The expansions of the planetary systems within each and every universe are situated in different parts of the Virat root of the Lord, and they are described as follows. Okay. So we will continue. This is for today's Sravanam Saturday. And we are going to stop here. It's Sravanam Saturday. Okay, so we will read Bhagavatam that we are reading every day. So Rishabdev's teachings. I think. Okay, I think we have to read from 563. So you can comment, all of you can comment after. तथा चोक्तम न कुर्यात् कर्हिचित् सख्यम मनसि अनावस्थिते यद्विश्राम्बच्चिरच्चीर्णं चष्कान्दा तप ऐश्वरम. All the learned scholars have given their opinion. The mind is by nature very restless, and one should not make friends with it. If we place full confidence in the mind, it may cheat us at any moment. Even Lord Shiva became agitated upon seeing the Mohini form of Lord Krishna, and Saubhari Muni also fell down from the mature stage of yogic perfection. So mind can deviate a person who is wanting to pursue the path of self-realization by so many temptations and distractions. So here it talks about the opposite gender, but it can be anything which can distract in this world, and it can deviate us from the path of self-realization. So Saubhari Muni became deviated. Of course, he made an offense to who? Saubhari Muni made an offense to
Garuda.
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 So the first business of one trying to advance in spiritual life is to control the mind and senses. So this is the first business, Prabhupada says, if you want to, you have to control the mind. But mind is very difficult to control. So you have to keep the mind engaged in Krishna. That's the way to control the mind. Otherwise, idle brain is devil's workshop. As Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15:7, Mamevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Although the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and are therefore in a transcendental position, they are still suffering in this material world and struggling for existence due to the mind and the senses. So we are above matter as spirit souls. Aparayam itastvanyam prakritim vidhime parav. Jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam tharyate jagat. Krishna says, besides this inferior energy, there is a spiritual energy, which is the soul, which is superior. So although we are superior to dull matter, we are entangled in this dull matter because we are identifying with it and we have invested our heart in this dull matter. That's why in this body and this mind and the senses, which is all dull matter in one sense. To get out of this false struggle for existence and become happy in the material world, one has to control. So if you want to become happy in the material world, you have to control the mind and senses. Prabhupada is saying, and be detached from material conditions. You have to be detached, control the mind and senses. Then you can get out of this false struggle for existence and become happy in the material world. Normally we say the more we indulge our mind, the more we'll become happy. That's the material way of thinking, where it says the more we indulge the mind and the senses, the more I'm going to become happy. But actually it's the opposite. The more you become detached, the more you will become happy and peaceful. One should never neglect austerities and penances. One should always perform them. Austerities and penances, Krishna says, should not be given even by the great souls, yagna, dana and tapa. And these austerities are for, taming the mind, ultimately it's to bring the mind under control. Mind is screaming for something and you say no, and that becomes an austerity. Like whatever it mind is screaming, yeah, I want this, I want that, like a child is screaming and you say no. It's like difficult because the mind is like pushing and you are going against. So it becomes like a penance, a tapasya. You don't go with the flow of your mind. You resist the mind, especially when the mind is giving you thoughts which are not conducive for spiritual advancement. You have to resist. One should always perform them. And to resist, you need strength. And that strength comes from Balram. Balaram is full of strength. So the Guru, the devotees who are representative of the Balram, the Gurus. So from them we get the spiritual strength. Like we heard so many devotees, we heard Srila Prabhupada, we are reading his books, Each purport of Prabhupada is like a personal message to us. And by hearing this every day, then you acquire spiritual strength. By intellectual conviction, more and more we become convinced about the goal of life, who I am, why am I here. And then one who is convinced, then they can do whatever they have to do. Like the terrorists, it's a bad conviction, but just to give an example. They are convinced that by blowing themselves up, they are going to enjoy in the heavens. They are completely brainwashed. Of course, convinced in a bad way. So if you are convinced about something, very deeply convinced, then you will do it no matter what. So this is all thing to convince us. Prabhupada is trying to convince us. Because we have been convinced in another way by the world around us in a different way. We've been convinced in a different way now. Spiritually, we are trying to undo that conditioning and be convinced in another way. So that requires some hard work. But it's not hard. We just have to spend time with Prabhupada's books. There is an article I want to read, how to read Prabhupada's books after this. Lord Rishabdev personally showed us how to do this. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is specifically stated. Matra svashra duhitra va navi vikta sano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvamsam apikarshati. A grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi and brahmachari should be very careful when associating with women. One is forbidden to sit down in a solitary place even with one's mother, sister or daughter. In our Krishna consciousness movement, it has been very difficult to disassociate ourselves from women in our society, especially in Western countries. We are therefore sometimes criticized, but nonetheless, we are trying to give everyone a chance to chant the Hare Krishna mantra and thus advance spiritually. So, man or woman, ultimately, everybody is a spirit soul. And Prabhupada says, man is good, woman is good. But when they associate, it becomes bad. In the sense that if it is not for the purpose of, procreation and like that, then it becomes like entangling. So that's how. And when everybody sees every person as an object of enjoyment, then it becomes like, selfish desires and all these things. So, and then we are interested in our own enjoyment, and then we cannot give enjoyment to Krishna selflessly. The more we are selfishly interested in our own enjoyment, we can't be selfless in giving enjoyment to Krishna, because we are thinking about our own enjoyment. So that's we call as lust, and love is the desire to give Krishna pleasure. If we stick to the principle of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, then by the grace of Srila Haridas Thakur, we may be saved from the allurement of women, and for men, women like that. Women, men. However, if we are not very strict in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we may at any time fall victim to women. So we have the story of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, I was reading yesterday. Let me share this. Or somebody can tell the story of Haridas Thakur. If you want to tell. There is a book by Rupa Vilas Prabhu on Haridas Thakur. I think I bought it some time back. So there is envious Ramachandra Khan. We can read this pastime if you want. But there is, or we can read from Chaitanya Charitamrita about Haridas Thakur. So we have to pray to Haridas Thakur how he was so absorbed in getting higher taste in chanting the holy name, that he was not tempted. Twice he was tempted. One is by Maya Devi herself, and then second time he was tempted by this Laksha Hira. Actually, nobody wanted to go to Haridas Thakur because they knew he was a saintly person. But then this one lady agreed. That's what I was reading yesterday. So this envious Ramachandra Khan.
And Haridas Thakur knew what was the plan of Lakshahira. But he said he didn't go away because he understood that she was coming, and he's so compassionate that he wanted to give her mercy, make her into a devotee.
Yeah, so Srila Haridas Thakur replied, I know everything about the conspiracy of Ramachandra Khan. He is nothing but an ignorant fool. Because Haridas Thakur was becoming popular. And Ramchandra Khan was saying, nobody can become popular here. And he was being liked by so many people. So he wanted to defame him. So he sent this. He is nothing but an ignorant fool. Therefore his activities do not make me feel unhappy. So even though he tried to defame Haridas Thakur did not take. He says he's an ignorant fool. So his activities do not make me feel unhappy. Just like if somebody is crazy and if they do something, they are pardoned in the court, right? Because he's crazy, he's not in a mental. So everybody is crazy, of course, in this material world. More or less, we are all crazy. Whoever has come to this material world, in this cycle of birth and death, left our eternal home full of joy and happiness, and come here. Like it's like somebody going from America to some other country where there is war going on and trying to settle there. You'll say, what happened? Why is he doing like that? Why is he living in such a nice country? Maybe here also it's not so nice, but it's peaceful. Then in going to Ukraine and trying to settle there, what's wrong? Of course, UN workers and they sometimes go to help people out, but we would not appreciate, like nobody would appreciate. Why did it invite trouble for himself? So we have invited trouble for ourselves, leaving our eternal home and coming here and going through all this struggle and birth, death, old age and disease and cancer and all these things. It's very, so Krishna is saying, yesterday we were hearing, right? He's saying, come back, why are you in this kind of situation? And we are saying, no, I'm all right, I'm all right. Don't bother me. Don't bother me. I'm all right, I'm all right. And that's what our situation is. Maya's, the illusory energies like that. It is not Maya. We want to be in Maya. That's why Maya is. Prabhupada said one time, they asked him, why is Maya so powerful? Prabhupada says, Maya is not powerful. Your purpose is not strong. Your purpose is not strong. Means, yeah, our desire is not that intense.
Also, that story is there of a person who goes to the guru, and guru is hanging onto the tree and say, "Tree, leave me, leave me." We ourselves are holding on to Maya.
Correct. Yeah. So if we hold on to our, then who can help? Nobody can help. You have to leave yourself, like we were talking about that anchor. The boat is rowing, but the boat is not moving anywhere because the anchor has to be removed. So who will remove the anchor? Of course, the anchor is very deep and you need help to remove it. But we should have a very strong desire to remove the anchor. And that strong desire should be then facilitated by prayer, or there should be a prayer to Krishna. When you really intensely want something, you pray, Krishna, please let me pass in this exam. I want this job, Krishna. I'm so much, I don't have a job. Or when a beggar is so very intensely begging, he has not eaten. So, how intensely we want to become Krishna conscious. That's the greed. Tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukritir na labhyate. That's the intense greed to become. So mostly we become settled in our comfort zone, right? In our comfort zone. So we don't have a desire to. So like Jesus, they say Jesus said that be hot or cold, don't be lukewarm. Otherwise I spit on you. Something like that, right? Be hot or cold. So we don't want to be cold, of course. We want to be hot. Fire. They say fired up devotee. Fired up devotee means always ready to serve Krishna and always looking for opportunity to serve Krishna. So on the very day Ramchandra Khan was planning his intrigue against me, I would have left this place immediately. But because you have come to me, I stayed here for 3 days to deliver you. He said, yes, I knew why you came here, but I just stayed here because so this is the compassion of the Vaishnava.
But also, as we were reading that verse, Balvan Indriya Gramam, so he was in a solitary place with this lady, and of course, we should not imitate
Imitate,
Haridas Thakur,
yes, correct.
because this is not, um, I mean, prescribed, right?
Correct.
He should have left that place if that girl came there.
Yeah, so for Haridas Thakur, it is possible because he is a very elevated. For Narad Muni to bring Kayadu and instruct Kayadu in his ashram is possible because they are all Paramahamsa devotees. But we should not think they are Paramahamsas. Because if we try to imitate the great personalities, then we will be unsuccessful. So the prostitute said, kindly act as my spiritual master, instruct me in my duty by which to get relief from material existence. So her heart changed because she was like, hearing Hare Krishna. She was also bowing down to Tulsi after offering her obeisances to Tulsi, plant and Haridas Thakur, and she was offering respects to Haridas Thakur. She was building up her Sukruti also. She sat down on the threshold, hearing his chanting and chanting herself. She was also chanting sometimes. It is described that she would say, "Oh my Lord Hari." Hearing Haridas Thakur chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, she also chanted, "Oh my Lord Hari, oh my Lord Hari." Herein one clearly sees how a Vaishnava delivers a fallen soul by a transcendental trick. The prostitute came to pollute Haridas Thakur, but he took it as his duty to deliver the prostitute. As clearly demonstrated here, the process of deliverance is very simple. With faith and reverence, the prostitute associated with Haridas Thakur, who personally treated her material disease by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Although the prostitute had an ulterior motive, somehow or other she got the association of a Vaishnava and satisfied him by occasionally chanting in imitation. So she was imitating, "Oh my Lord Hari, oh my Lord Hari." The conclusion is that associating with a Vaishnava, chanting the holy name of the Lord, and offering obeisances to the Tulsi plant or a Vaishnava all lead one to become a transcendental devotee who is completely cleansed of all material contamination. So, and Haridas Thakur was chanting some extra rounds that time, I think maybe some devotee was saying. So, and night ended, she was feeling restless. Thakur, Haridas Thakur said, "I vowed to chant 10 million names in a month. I have taken this vow, but now it is nearing its end. I thought that today I would be able to finish my performance of yagna, my chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. I tried my best to chant the holy name all night, but I still did not finish." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, "I am chanting whole day, but I am not able to finish my rounds." Of course, something like that he said.
Yeah, he
Tomorrow,
said to Vallabh Bhatt, who said, "I want to tell you the glories of the holy name." He said, "I have not finished my rounds. I'm trying to chant."
so Haridas Thakur, when he was also in his last days on this manifest, in his manifest Leela, Govinda came to him and brought some prasadam from Jagannath temple and told Haridas Thakur, "Can you? I have brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has sent me with some prasad for you." And Haridas Thakur was chanting Hare Krishna. He was lying down because he was not feeling well. And then he said, I have not finished my chanting. I cannot, um, I, I should not be taking prasad. But how can I refuse prasad? It is the Mahaprasad of Jagannath. How can I refuse? So he offered like respects to prasad, he prayed, and then he took a little bit of the Mahaprasad because he had taken a vow not to maybe eat something before he finished his rounds. That is a good vow to do. Many devotees do like if unless I finish my chanting of 16 rounds, I will not eat anything. And then because your belly is like screaming, then you have to you if you who will do that? You yourself do that vow that unless I finish my chanting, I will not eat anything. Then because you feel hungry after some time, so you say better I finish my round. But then of course we have to chant nicely, not just to so that I can eat and then just somehow finish the round. So then the next day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Haridas Thakur. We'll read that. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Are you well, Haridas Thakur?" He said, "My body is well, but my mind is not well." What is the problem? He said, "I am not able to finish my quota of rounds." And he was chanting 300,000 names, 192 rounds every day. So, and then Mahaprabhu said, "No, no, now you don't have to chant so much. You took your incarnation to basically, propagate the holy name, which you have already fulfilled. You are not well. You don't have to chant so many names." And then Haridas Thakur is saying, "My dear Lord, I am very fallen soul. I was born in a very abominable family, and you somehow delivered me, and Advaita Acharya offered me the first Shraddha, Patra from this, and I'm all the by your mercy I've been elevated somehow, and I'm very fallen soul," like that he's saying, and then he makes his request that I know that your pastimes are coming to a close. So I want to die before you. I cannot bear separation from you. And then, of course, the pastime goes. So Prabhupada says, yeah, if we cannot finish our chanting, then we are in a disease condition of our life, spiritual condition. So whatever quota we have for chanting, we should finish. Otherwise, We are in a diseased condition of life, he said. In that purport, he said like that. Anyway, we got diverted. But we can see so a little bit. Nevertheless, by the end of night, the prostitute was feeling restless. Seeing this, the Thakur spoke to her as follows. I vowed to, okay, we read that. So he says, I tried to best finish my rounds, but could not. Tomorrow, I will certainly finish, and my vow will be fulfilled. Then it will be possible for me to enjoy you within full freedom. The prostitute again returned to Ramachandra Khan and tendered a report. So she was reporting to Ramachandra Khan because the constable was there. As soon as Haridas Thakur and this prostitute unite, the constable was going to arrest. But she went to Ramchandra Khan and said, oh, this is what happened. On the following day, she came earlier than usual at the beginning of the evening. After offering her obeisances to Tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down on the threshold, hearing his chanting and chanting herself. Haridas Thakur assured her, today it will be possible for me to finish my chanting. Then I shall satisfy all your desires. So that night, and the night ended, but by Haridas Thakur's association, the mind of the prostitute had changed. So this is conversion happening. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments. Yeah.
So he didn't say anything, any preaching to her. The only thing he did was chant the holy name, and her heart transformed. Of course, she's bound down to Tulsi also. So hearing from the lips of a pure devotee, just chanting only. I mean, even if there is no preaching done like with words,
Because
right?
he was chanting. Yeah, correct. He was a pure devotee. So when we hear the chanting from pure devotees, then it creates like, yeah. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary is there. Watching the manifestation of the supernatural force of the character of Haridas, the heart of the sinful woman was changed. The transformation of the prostitute was profound. It is described in Chaitanya Shikshamrita by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that association of a Madhyamadhikari is sufficient to create Shraddha or faith. So by associating with Madhyamadhikari, you get faith in Krishna consciousness. However, by association with an Uttamadhikari, symptoms of bhav may be experienced. So you may feel ecstasy and emotion by associating with an Uttamadhikari. Although the prostitute is described in the text as in commentary above in very severe terms, sinful, fallen, etc., in the modern age, young men and women indulge in random acts of sex, gambling, intoxication, as a matter of course, without the promise of reward and with very little thought of the possible consequences. Therefore, their minds and hearts are very covered and dull, even when compared to the young prostitute. So he's comparing that to the modern. Srila Prabhupada rescued many men, such men and women who were indulging in behavior much worse than the young woman sent by Khan. And yet Srila Prabhupada was able, by the supernatural force of his character, to give them a taste of spiritual ecstasy and set them on the path of liberation and pure devotional service. By experiencing the higher taste of Krishna consciousness, layers of ignorance are shattered and real life begins. The young girl who had been born into a culture of respect for saintly persons was deeply affected by the powerful atmosphere of divine love which emanated from Srila Haridas Thakur. Now purified, she fell at the feet of Haridas Thakur and confessed that Ramchandra Khan had sent her to tempt him for sex. The young girl, terrified at the temerity of what she had done, began to plead with Haridas that she wanted his shelter. She felt that she had committed many sins, topped off by this attempt to cause a saint to break his vows. She begged for deliverance. Srila Haridas Thakur replied, I know everything about the conspiracy. Okay, we know this. So she said, so then Thakur replied, immediately go home and distribute to the Brahmanas whatever property you have. Then come back to this room and stay here forever in Krishna consciousness. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously and render service to the Tulsi plant by watering her and offering prayers to her. In this way, you will soon get the opportunity to be sheltered at the lotus feet. This is that famous words, right? Tulsi.
निरंतर नाम लो करो तुलसी सेवन अचरित पावे तबे कृष्णेरा चरण.
Nirantar Naam Lo, constantly chant and
Yeah.
worship Tulsi. Then by these two things, you get the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Haridas Thakur knew by the inner direction of the Lord in the heart exactly what Ramachandra Khan had planned. But he had stayed just for the chance of rescuing the young girl, who was at her heart's core innocent. The proof for sincerity will shortly be revealed. The heart of merciful Haridas was touched. He forgot all about the bad profession of the harlot, the unworthy object of, and deciding that she was eligible for taking the Mahamantra of the name of Hari in the manner that is free from offense, rescued her from the deep well of sensuality. So Haridas Thakur thought she is eligible for taking. Anybody can chant Hare Krishna. Such mercy is not met with anywhere except in the heart of a Vaishnava. All praise to Haridas. May your mercy be appreciated by all the people of the world. So when Haridas Thakur passed away, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was glorifying him like he had 5 mouths. He was speaking the glories of Haridas Thakur. So, okay. So, anyway, back to our. Okay, so that's the purport to this verse. Then the next verse, the time, it's almost 9 o'clock. Anything else? Anybody like to? We'll read one more and then stop. Nityam dadati kamasya chitram tam anuye araya yogina krita metrasya patyurjaeva pumshali. An unchaste woman is very easily carried by paramours, means her lovers. And it sometimes happens that her husband is violently killed by her paramours. So in the history of this world, there are so many murders that have happened because of all this. If the yogi gives his mind a chance and does not restrain it, his mind will give facilities to enemies like lust, anger, and greed, and they will doubtlessly kill the yogi. So if we let our mind go, without any restriction, then it will kill us. It will kill us means it will consume us, basically. This fire will consume us. The fire of lust, anger, and greed will consume us. Dvaram nashanam atmana. What is that verse? Trividham.
नरकेशुद्वारं द्वारं नाशनमात्मना काम क्रोध तथा लोभस्तस्माद् एतत्त्रयं त्यजेत्.
So it will destroy the soul. The soul cannot be destroyed. Dvaram nashanam atmana. Krishna already said in the second chapter, Nainam chindanti shastrani nainam dati pavaka na chainam kledayanti apo na sosyati maruta. The soul cannot be killed, burned by weapon or fire, killed or cut by any weapon. So, but this, it kills the desire for self-realization and our eternal benefit. That's why in the next verse Krishna says, one who has escaped these 3 gates of hell performs acts conducive to self-realization. What is that verse? That one who has
एतैर्वमुक्तः कौन्तेय तमोद्वारे स्त्रीभिर्न आचरते आत्मनः श्रेयस्ततो याति परां गतिम्.
and then he approaches. So we should be kind to ourselves and free ourselves, because this will cause us suffering. All these lusty desires will just cause us suffering in this material existence, and we'll get one body after another. And so we should be kind to, we should take pity on the soul. Of course, we are the soul, but compassion for the eternal self is self-realization. It is said like that. Compassion for the eternal soul. So we should be kind to ourselves and save ourselves from all the trouble. Okay. In this verse, the word Pumshali refers to a woman who is easily carried away by men. Such a woman is never to be trusted. Unfortunately, in the present age, women are never controlled according to the direction of Shastras. Women are never to be given freedom. When a child, woman must be controlled by her father. When she is young, she must be strictly controlled by her husband. And when she is old, she must be controlled by her elderly sons. If she is given independence and allowed to mingle unrestrictedly with men, she will be spoiled. A spoiled woman, being manipulated by paramours, might even kill her husband. The example is given here because a yogi desiring to get free from material conditions must always keep his mind under control. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that in the morning our first business should be to beat the mind. So if the mind is not coming under control, then we should pick up our beat back and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Actually, that's the best way to control the mind. As Prabhupada says, to chant Hare Krishna in all humility. And when mind is not under control, pick your beat back and chant in all humility, praying to Krishna. I'm helpless, Krishna. Please help, please help. And in this way, think of Krishna, the beautiful form of Krishna. And after some time, the mind will be subdued. And ideally, all the time, we should Kirtaniya Sadahari, that says. Nirantar Naam Lo. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that in the morning our first business should be to be with the mind, which shoes 100 times. So beat the mind means chastise the mind. Tell it some bad words. Tell your mind some bad words as soon as you get up. Chastise, scold. Nonsense, you rascal, you foolish, stupid. Like that. As soon as you get up, you can do that. And before going to bed, beat the mind 100 times with a broomstick. In this way, we can also accuse the mind. Because of you, you are not allowing me to chant, you are not allowing me to focus on Krishna. Because of you, I am in this material condition, in this cycle of birth and death, and I am suffering because of you. You crazy fellow, I am not going to listen to you. I'll beat you up if you don't behave. So like that, we can tell our mind. In this way, one's mind can be kept under control. An uncontrolled mind and an unchaste wife are the same. An unchaste wife can kill her husband at any time, and an uncontrolled mind followed by lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, and illusion can certainly kill the yogi. When the yogi is controlled by the mind, he falls down into the material condition. One should be very careful of the mind, just as a husband should be careful of an unchaste wife. Okay, so stop there. Any comments on that? So for one who has conquered the mind, then what is happening? What is Krishna says then?
Super
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 reached.
Super.
Jitatmana Prashant. I was thinking that sometimes we chant, but still mind is nagging. I mean, personal, I can say that if in that situation, what I try to listen some lecture that actually engaging me, because if you, and especially I was hearing at that time the pastimes of Krishna and Radharani and Krishna, so that actually really helped me. I'm not saying that nobody helps with by chanting, of course, but in that situation, if the chanting doesn't help me to, because sometimes I feel like that mind is doing two work at the same time. So it's better to I try to hear pastime of Lord. So that really helps me.
Yeah, that is also there. What is that? Vrajavatum idam cha Vishnu. What is that verse?
Mhm.
Vikriditam Vrajavadu.
क्रीडितं व्रजवतु पीडितं च विष्णु श्रद्धान्वितो अनुश्रूयमान् अथ वर्णयन्. Yeah, so if we hear the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, the lust in our heart will be destroyed.
Yeah, so that is also the remedy given. So whatever works, whatever aspect of Krishna consciousness works, whether it's chanting, whether it's hearing or reading Srila Prabhupada books or whatever, remembering Krishna, meditating on Krishna. Of course, hearing means you are meditating also. So whatever, you have to keep Krishna in the mind.
Mhm. So we were discussing yesterday, right? We need detachment from this material world so we can contemplate on death. What is our time, and that can also help our mind. What will we be like? What will it be like when I'm at the time of my death and death is at the doorstep? Uh, that, or we can contemplate on the spiritual world. So detachment from material world, attraction to the spiritual world. Both of them are needed to go back home, back to Godhead.
Correct. Yeah, the more we become detached, the more we can focus the mind easily on Krishna. So we have to cultivate detachment and like that also. So yeah, that's
So regarding this verse, I mean, I was also thinking that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives example of unchaste woman also, but he says that a woman who's attached to another man, she does her house responsibilities very nicely, but in her heart she is always thinking of her paramour. Be like that, and our paramour is actually Krishna, the one who loves us the most. There is only lust in this world. And the love that we are seeking for within our heart, with all the qualities that we want in our beloved, that is Krishna. So, I mean, that he is also giving an example of an unchaste woman and paramour there, but opposite to this one.
correct, correct. Yeah, so we are going to stop here. This is like on the mind. Next more verses will come on the mind also. So thank you everyone, and please come in the evening. We'll have a program at Tina's home. So thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.